Hey, thanks for joining me. So if you're into film cameras like I am, I have a lot of different weird, odd film cameras, and a lot of them don't have light meters. I also like to do some large format stuff, and it has some cameras with meters, but there's a lot of them I have that just don't have a meter. And there's a lot of new meters available today. Some aren't too expensive, and then there's some really expensive ones. And the trend is these days for meters that clip onto your camera, and a lot of my cameras, there's nowhere to clip a light meter to. So I like to have a handheld light meter. And there's a lot of vintage handheld light meters out there, some very affordable. They got some issues though. So I want to talk about meters real quick, just in general, and then kind of tell you the one that I like for most of my use that's really good and reliable and a good one to have. So if you were to take light meters, vintage light meters, and look at the way they measure the photocell that they use to measure light, you could lump them into three categories. So the first is a selenium cell meter. And a selenium cell meter will have this honeycomb kind of bug eye thing in it. You'll see this sometimes on the front of old cameras. And there's a selenium cell behind that. It's not too different from the photocells now that we use that you can have on your house that provide power for your house. This photocell actually generates electricity, which is what moves the meter needle. The problem is, if you find one of these that's working and you want to use it, if you find one that's still accurate, when you get into pretty low light levels, they don't work very good because there's not enough light hitting this photocell to generate enough electricity to move the meter needle accurately, and so there's that. I do like this little Gumm Pilot though. This one's super accurate. And I really like it. But if the light's kind of low, kind of in that area where I couldn't guess the light reading anyway, it's not going to help me. The next generation were CDS cell meters. And the CDS cell meters, CDS means cadmium sulfide. And if you were to actually see the photocell, if you were to look in the front of this, you'd see this little tiny round cell with this squiggly line in the middle of it. That and cadmium sulfide cell. Problem, there's two big problems with these meters. One is that the photocell has a terrible recovery time. Kind of like your eyes. If you go from dark to bright areas, you know how your eyes have to adjust? Well, so does this, and it's not very fast. Same thing if you go from bright to dark. It just has this really slow recovery. The other thing is a lot of these use, especially these Gaussians, use a battery that's no longer the same as it used to be. So the original battery was a PX13 or PX625. And the original batteries were mercury-based, and they were 1.3 or 1.35 volts. The new ones that you can get, they still make the battery. It's still called a PX625, but it's alkaline, so now it's 1.5 volts. Or actually, if you measure one, they're closer to 1.6. Problem with that is that couple of tenths of a volt really messes with the accuracy of the meter. So you either have to have the meter modified by adding diodes to it to adjust the voltage and then recalibrate it, or you can get an adapter that a hearing aid battery goes into, a 675 hearing aid battery, and you can put that in. The meter might still need recalibrating. So that, for most people, is just a non-starter. The next photocell, or the next type of photocell, was the silicon photocell. And this is a Gaussian, again, a super pilot, but it says SBC. If you get any of the later Gaussian meters, or if you get like a Luna Pro, Luna 6, the Super Pilot, look for one that says SBC, because the older ones will use this CDS cell. This is a great little meter. It's got the silicon photocell. Silicon photocells don't have any recovery issues. They're very accurate. Problem is, this uses a pair of those funky batteries that. So since I know how to do this work, I modified this with some diodes to drop the voltage, recalibrated it. And this is a fine meter now. But for most people, getting that work done, it's going to cost more than the meter is worth. So that's just kind of a non-starter. So there is a meter, though, that you can get that's very accurate, uses a modern battery, a very available battery that hasn't been modified or changed, and is very affordable. So this is the Autometer IIIF made by Minolta. Now, Minolta made these. They made a bunch of different meters. There's also a Minolta Autometer III, doesn't have the F. I think the main difference is it won't meter flash. This will meter both ambient and flash, Uses the silicon photocell. You can actually see it on this. If I get up the camera, you see that kind of blue cell in the front of it there. That's the silicon photocell. This is microprocessor controlled and delivers results in 1/10 of a stop accuracy. So that's really cool. It will give you your output in either F numbers and your shutter speed, of course, or you can set it to deliver EV numbers. So if you have one of those cameras where the shutter speed and aperture are linked together and gives you an EV reading, you can set in the camera. My Rolleiflex does that. Then you can use this to use EV numbers. This meter also has a memory. It has the ability to memorize or record 1 or 2 meter readings. And there's a memory button down here at the bottom. So you can take a meter reading, hit the memory button, it'll save it. And the point of that is not just to be able to recall those meter readings, but you can average up to 2 meter readings. So you can take and meter a shadow area, meter a highlight area, average the 2, and get an exposure that'll work with your film. Or at least see, what the spread is between the two to see if that's going to work with your film. There's a lot of accessories for this. This has this domed incident accessory that comes with it. Mine also has the 40-degree reflected accessory. So this meter's both in reflected or incident. So incident reading means that it's going to meter the light that's striking it. So you would hold this up next to your subject and meter. You've seen it in the movies, they hold the light meter up by the model and meter. So that's metering the light that's striking your subject. If you put this on, then it meters the light that is bouncing off of or reflected off your subject. So you can put that on, you can spin the head of this around, aim it at your subject, and it's 40-degree field of view, and so you can meter your subject. They also made a 10-degree spot meter attachment. They made a flat diffuser for incident readings that was more directional than the dome, and some other accessories. Most of these, I think, come with both this and this, but you definitely, if you buy one of these, you want to look for this 40-degree reflected adapter. Probably wouldn't be that hard to make one if you had to out of something, but I've seen plenty of them. Most of the meters I've seen on eBay come with them. So this uses a battery that's readily available. It uses a PX28 battery. If you've owned a Canon AE1 or maybe a Mamiya M645, there's some others, maybe the Bronica ETL series, but a lot of cameras use this PX28 battery. There's some dog collars evidently that still use it. It's available both in an alkaline version and a lithium. They used to make a silver oxide. I haven't seen those, but I buy the cheap alkalines. They last me 5-6 months. And if you get the lithium, it probably lasts a couple of years. There's also up here a little bitty, you need like a little jeweler screwdriver, but there's a little calibration control there where you can, if your negatives are coming out consistently a little over or underexposed, you can use this calibration control there to fine tune your meter. It's got a scale on the back. If you shoot movie cameras, you can basically convert the settings that it shows here to those that'll work with your movie camera based on frames per second and the aperture you're using. You can change it says ASA or time. ASA is the same thing as ISO. The numbers mean exactly the same thing. It used to be an American standard, which was American Society of something that was ASA, and then it became ISO, which is the international standard. So you can push this button. It allows you then to set the ISO using these up or down buttons to whatever speed you want, and then hit the button again and it goes back to time, and then you can set a shutter speed up or down with these buttons and set the shutter speed you're going to be using. When you take a reading, then it's going to give you an f-stop that works with that shutter speed. So, and it delivers that with 1/10 of a stop accuracy. So it will meter and show you like 5.6.8 or something, And if you look, there's a little analog scale across the top here. It looks like a little bar graph. When it does that, it'll actually jump to F8 on the bar graph if you're that close to it. But the numbers tell you, yes, it's saying 5.6, but you're almost to F8. So it gives you a real fine degree of accuracy in your metering, which is really nice. This has no power switch. It does have a measure lock, so you can lock it so that the meter button doesn't do anything. And that's so it doesn't drain the battery when it's in the case or in your camera bag. Then you switch that off to be able to meter. But this thing, after 2 minutes, just turns itself off. The reason that it doesn't actually have an on-off switch is because it's keeping that last meter reading. So if you're metering something and then let's say you lock it and you just let it, it's hanging around your neck or whatever, and you take some more pictures and you want to go back and meter again, you unlock it and you can actually recall the previous meter reading, take a new meter reading, and see how much the light's changed or whatever. So that's why it doesn't actually have an on-off switch. So anyway, it's just a super versatile meter, super accurate. These aren't terribly expensive. I've seen them on eBay anywhere from like 40 bucks to 75 or 80. There's a few people that always have them quite a bit higher, but they usually have the box and the manual and everything like it was brand new, which, might be worth that extra money. If you get one, you definitely want to try to get the manual with it. If not, you can download these online. I looked this morning and there were a couple of different websites where you could download the manual. And so it's definitely worth having because there's a lot of capabilities here. I'm not trying to make this a tutorial on how to use the meter. If you get one of these meters, it has enough capability, you definitely want to get the manual and read through it. Well, that's the Minolta Autometer IIIF. If you have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I always love hearing from you. And as always, thanks for watching.